What's up, you guys? I'm not amazing, I'm just mediocre. Welcome back to the channel and this Star Wars Squadrons video. Today I have 10 details you need to know about this brand new Starfighter simulator coming from Motive Montreal later this year. Only officially confirmed just last week, we already have a hefty gameplay trailer alongside a bunch of information that was dropped both on the website and in an interview from the creative director of the game with Polygon. So getting right into the details, first, this is a self-contained game. They specifically said they wanted to deliver an old-style product where what you pay for is what you get. They have no plans for there to be any live service or DLC to this game. They intended to be a what you pay for is what you get sort of experience. And that means all the cosmetics and components that are in the game to earn are earned strictly through gameplay. There are no microtransactions in this game, at least that's what we're being told. They may potentially have some DLC down the line, maybe adding extra ships or extra maps, something to that extent, but no huge plans, generally intended to be a self-contained experience. Next, these developers really wanted to immerse you in the feeling of being a starfighter pilot, so this game is 100% first person from start to finish, and there's no traditional heads-up display painted over the top of your screen. Everything is actually displayed on the panels of your cockpit, from your targeting to your own ship's health to your shields and engines and weapons systems, components. Everything that you need to know is right there on the heads-up display of your actual starfighter. So it really feels like you're inside the spacecraft, especially when we're going to be in virtual reality, able to look up, down, left, and right. The visibility of that cockpit is going to matter. Like an X-Wing can look up and left and right, but can't see underneath it. A TIE Fighter has a really good open view in front of it, but can't look very well to the left or right of itself. So those things are going to matter when we're playing in virtual reality. After that, we're also not getting a traditional leveling system. For example, if you played Battlefront 2, you might be familiar with the star card system that gave you small incremental boosts to certain parts, like maybe your weapon systems are 10%, like your lasers are 10% more deadly, or your rockets are 40% more explosive, something to that extent. Well, that's not how it's going to be in this game. They wanted to avoid the feeling of imbalance that comes as a new player coming into a game and going up against someone who is fully maxed out stats and just objectively a better equipped ship than you do. So what it is more like is akin to a class system. Say in a first-person shooter, the difference between picking an SMG or an assault rifle. What laser system you pick gives you advantages and disadvantages in certain areas. Similar to your components are going to give you advantages or disadvantages in certain areas. Like your lasers might be SMG-like, shoot very fast, be a little bit inaccurate, but not have a lot of range. Or you might have a sniper-like laser system where you have to be still when you shoot it. It takes a long time to fire, but it hits really, really hard. So that's what it's going to be like instead of I have a 10% better laser system. Beyond that, we also have these power management systems that we're going to have to take control of. There will be engines and lasers and shield systems for those that actually have shields. We'll talk about that more in just a moment. But the power management system is basically how they're going to replace the ability system of the previous game. If you played Star Wars Battlefront 2 in the Starfighter Assault mode, if you wanted to have boosters, that was just an ability that your ship had. You tapped a button, you got a boost. If you wanted to have your overcharged laser blast, you tapped a button, you shot your overcharged laser blast. Well, in this game, you're actually going to have to manage your power systems in order to access that kind of stuff. If you want to get a speed boost, you're going to have to dump all of your system's power into engines, and then you will build up a charge for speed boost. If you want to have a laser charge, you need to dump all your power into weapon systems to create that enhanced overcharged laser that's going to deal more damage. So it's not as simple as tapping a button and bam, you're shooting your overcharged lasers. It's actually choosing which systems you want to use at specific time. And this more advanced power management systems goes hand in hand with the more advanced flight control systems. It's definitely not as arcadey as the Starfighter assault mode from Battlefront 2. They said they were inspired by watching the opening scene from The Last Jedi, where Poe Dameron is assaulting the First Order dreadnought. He's flying in and he's destroying a turret, and right after he blows up this turret, he does this sick 180 where he cuts his engines, he flips around 180 degrees in this slow sideways drift, and then comes up behind the people who were just pursuing him. And they wanted to try to replicate that mechanic. So you actually get to do that through the power management. You dump your power into your engines, you can get a speed boost, and then you cut the speed boost out early, your engines actually cut completely, and you can flip around 180 degrees while still kind of drifting the same way you were already going. So getting the turnaround, maybe shooting at the people who were just chasing you, or just throwing them off and going a completely different direction than you had been going. And it seems pretty clear that if you get a good handle on the flight systems of this game, you're going to be able to pull off some crazy ace pilot stuff like Poe Dameron or Luke Skywalker. But we also can manage our shields in some pretty intense ways. So not only can we dump power into the shields to make them charge power and overcharge for double extra health, but we can also divert them to the front or back of the spacecraft. So if we're maybe launching a head-on assault and there's a lot of fire coming our front way, we can put heavy deflector shields on the front. Or if we're being pursued by a lot of enemies, we're getting a lot of fire on our back end, we can put deflectors on the back end. But unfortunately, some shields actually don't even have ships. They tried as hard, shields. They tried as hard as they could to stay in canon. Like TIE fighters don't actually have shields. They do get a little bit heavier armor, and they do move a little bit faster than their shielded counterparts. And they also have the ability, since they can't put power into shields, they get a super dump ability, where they can put every last drop of power into engines or every last drop of power into weapons at the cost of whatever else you might need power for. So you can use that supercharged laser barrage that I was talking about before, but it'll make your TIE fighter go putt, putt, putt for a second. Or you can put on a crazy speed boost and get away from the enemies, but you won't be able to fire for a few seconds. So these different trade-offs of when you use your power, how you use your power, and when you dump power into certain things are really, like, managing all that is really gonna make the difference between an ace pilot and a not so ace pilot. Now for some story information, the main meat of this game will take place after the events of Return of the Jedi, where the Death Star 2 has been destroyed, the Imperials are kind of like on their heels a little bit, licking their wounds, and the New Republic, as it is now dubbed itself, is ready to try and solidify itself as a force in the galaxy. However, there will be a prologue of this game that takes place during the events of Episode 4 New Hope at the destruction of Alderaan. It's not exactly clear how we are going to bear witness to this, whether it's on the ground or whether we'll be in the skies, but we will be witnessing Alderaan destroyed by the Death Star, and I imagine that's going to be pretty traumatic. Then after that, there will be the prologue. You can either jump straight into the story or go and play some multiplayer. The story itself revolves around the New Republic trying to create its new fleet of capital ships by recycling old capital ships, the Star Destroyers that are left over from the battles that have happened in the past. And it's going to be a rotating perspective from a pilot that you make, one each on the Republic side and the Empire side, and set up as pretty much a primer for the game itself. And then having played through the entire story mode should set you up to perform pretty well in the multiplayer mode, which is where you're actually going to be unlocking that currency. If you want to get any of the cosmetics or unlock any of the components, you do have to play the game, and that's how you will get the currencies. There will be 2 separate ones, one for you to buy the cool stuff for your ship and your character, and one for you to buy the actual like blasters and engines and missiles and things like that. Now they do mention that they will both work on making your character look cool and sound cool. So it's like maybe you're gonna have voice lines you can purchase, and then I'm not sure how they're gonna make your ship sound cool. Maybe the engines or the lasers sound different. They're not exactly clear on that one. But one thing I am exceptionally excited about, the last thing on this list, is that you do not need multiplayer friends to play the multiplayer aspects of this game. Yes, of course, they will have the single player story mode, but more often than not, if you want to play a multiplayer mode, you have to be with people. And that was one of the most annoying parts of the Starfighter Assault mode from Battlefront 2, is waiting in a lobby for 2 or 3 other people to join. But in this game mode, you will be able to play the fleet battles by yourself solo, no extra people required. We also have some impressive looking locales. The areas look gorgeous. We have places like the gas giant of Yavin, and then we have like battleship graveyards full of giant hunks of floating metal, and asteroid belts with mining facilities and stuff like this. But so far, we've only seen 6 locations, and that has me a little concerned. I don't anticipate a lot of replayability over 6 different maps. And don't get me wrong, they're huge maps, it looks like, with a lot of different places to fly in and out, and everybody's going to choose to attack in different ways with different loadouts and stuff like that. But only 6 maps still seems kind of limiting. And if there's any one piece of DLC that I would love to see them add to this game, it's extra locations to fly. I don't need any more starfighters. I don't need any more weapons. I would just love to see some more locations to fly at. But I guess we don't even know the final count. I may be fretting over nothing. We may be getting 10 to 12 different maps to fly in. So we will have to wait and see. Other than that, you guys, I'm really excited for this game. I'm really excited to put on a virtual reality headset and sit inside a cockpit like I've been dreaming of since we first started saw these Star Wars movies decades ago. But if you guys want to stay up to date on Star Wars Squadrons, consider subscribing to the channel, and you'll see it right here alongside my regular Apex Legends content. In the meantime, I'm not amazing, I'm just mediocre, and I'm out.